to Conservative Voices Silenced. I'm Christine Sposato, and I'm excited to be your guide through the stories that matter. Stories of resilience, strength, and triumph in a world that doesn't always make space for conservative voices.
And I'm Elizabeth Smith, joining Christine in this journey. We know how it feels when your beliefs seem to be drowned out by the noise, but here on this podcast, we're turning up the volume.
That's right, Elizabeth, and we're creating a space where conservative voices can speak their truths, sharing the challenges they've faced and the victories they've celebrated.
Conservative Voices Silenced is not just a podcast, it's a movement that recognizes the diversity within conservatism and gives a platform to those who felt marginalized.
So whether you're a conservative looking for reliable stories or someone curious about the experiences of those with differing viewpoints, you're in the right place.
Get ready for an engaging ride as we dive into the trials and triumphs of conservatives navigating a progressive world. We invite you to join us on this journey of discovery, understanding, and most importantly, amplifying voices that deserve to be heard.
This is Conservative Voices Silenced, where silence ends and the conversation begins.
All right, here we are for another episode.
Hello.
Conservative Voices Silenced. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Christine.
Merry almost Christmas.
Merry almost Christmas.
All right, so we have a great guest here today, and we're just going to dive right into talking about what's going on in the Republican Party. We have Jim Swenson, who's the chairman of the Barron County Republican Party, and that's Barron County, Wisconsin. And there's a lot of shenanigans going on there. And no, I didn't say Sheboygan. I said shenanigans. Sheboygan's a town in Wisconsin. That's a Wisconsin joke. So we have a little bit of background. And on Substack, there's a great article. It's got background. It shows the documents that came from the state Republican Party. And this is Jim's response, his letter of response to what was going on. And so we're just going to dive right in. Elizabeth and I are going to read the letter that Jim wrote, and that's going to be our intro to our interview with Jim. So when Jim pops on, you'll have the background of what's been going on. So Jim's letter, it starts out, the Trojan horse. The Republican Party of Barron County is a private organization governed by rules written and accepted by the members of the organization. The rhetoric you're witnessing being released into the public by our current state senator representing Barron County is nothing more than a distraction used to achieve an objective that he has decided to personally take on. This distraction is nothing more than his distorted opinions, packaged and served up and disguised as a Trojan horse that is packed full of emotional rhetoric rather than just stating the real objective that he refuses to admit, even to his closest associates. The battle within the Republican Party is currently occurring across the United States and not just in Barron County, as the current elected individuals participating are hopeful that you will believe to be the case. Wisconsin political party process rules differ from other states across the country. The Trojan horse being rolled into Barron and some other Wisconsin counties is specifically to control membership and the seated delegates in each county party. Now that's the key. They're trying to control the delegates, and therefore they control who gets on the ballot and they control the elections.
Yeah.
Sinister, very sinister. Beginning at the county level, delegates are seated and allowed to cast their vote while attending both district and state caucuses concerning all policy and procedures of topic. The best example of a major upcoming procedure I can give is an example of the delegates voting for what Republican candidate is endorsed and allowed to be placed on the 2024 Republican ballot for the President of the United States. It's no secret there's a huge split in the Republican Party. These sides continue to be identified by words like rhino, which is Republican in name only, uniparty, globalists, versus words like populist, patriots, and MAGA. If you're unaware of these words and their well-stated intentions concerning the future of our country, you need to change your source of media news and start asking some questions. It is essential that you understand and question who is representing which of these ideals and who is funding their agenda, regardless of any candidate's spoken intent. The power within a county Republican Party isn't the money. The power is the delegates we send to vote and make decisions in the caucuses. The district caucus is the most important caucus, as every 2 years the district leadership is elected. The elected chairman and vice chairman of each district are both seated on the Republican Party of Wisconsin Executive Committee. These elected positions from the Wisconsin 8th Congressional Districts make up 16 of the 30 members of the RPW Executive Committee. The third vice chairman position is elected by the individual county chairman of Wisconsin. The remaining 13 executive committee positions are made by political appointment and or voted on by the 30-seated Republican Party of Wisconsin Executive Committee members. And they are the decision makers running the Republican Party that matters here in Wisconsin. The Republican Party of Wisconsin chairman is elected and hired by the RPW Executive Committee in this same fashion. Participation at the district caucus as a county delegate is the quickest way to influence party leadership roles at the Republican Party of Wisconsin Executive Committee. However, many reasons for being a county delegate, like this one, are held as protected information. It is important to understand our current elected leadership positions are representing uniparty ideals and agendas in both legislative houses in Wisconsin and both legislative houses in DC. The uniparty agenda sends your tax dollars out of the county instead of using it here. The Republican Party, the RNC leadership, reflects and supports the same uniparty agenda as at the national level, to include the Republican Party of Wisconsin, the RPW, along with most of the 8 congressional district office leadership positions. The simplest way to identify the uniparty supporters is that they generally support the anti-Trump America First movement. On the opposite side of the Republican Party are the America First supporters, consisting of the populists, patriots, constitutionalists, and better known as MAGA, or the MAGA supporters. This side has some regular members in both legislative houses in Washington, D.C., and fewer members in the legislative houses in Wisconsin. The base of this group is found primarily within the membership participating in a county Republican Party. What is being targeted by the Trojan horse are the leadership roles of the American First supporters who occupy leadership positions such as chairman, executive committee members, but most importantly, the county delegate. Every Wisconsin Republican county charter is designated self-governing as part of the Republican Party of Wisconsin and operates under rules contained in its own constitution and bylaws. The only requirement for these county party charters is the requirement of having their individual county constitution, that was really bad, fall in accordance with the Republican Party of Wisconsin. Constitution and bylaws. It remains the RPW's constitutional responsibility to inform and work directly with county executive committees if corrections need to be made to conform with the RPW Constitution. Most county constituents, most county constitutions are similar but can differ quite significantly. The common phrase used in many constitutions, quote, member in good standing, end quote, in most counties is usually defined as a member's personal dues have been paid. In Racine County, member in good standing has been modified to include if a member speaks badly of any elected Republican, they will be removed from the county party for a minimum of 2 years. When RPW leadership was asked if this action taking place in Racine County is compliant with the RPW Constitution, they said that the Racine Constitution has been approved. For those unaware, our Wisconsin Speaker of the Assembly resides in Racine County. Other Wisconsin county parties have adopted Racine's same expanded definition of member in good standing mentioned above. Coincidentally, these counties do not usually require executive committee or membership voting to remove members from their party. However, an executive committee vote is required for any reapplication process after the mandatory 2-year minimum restriction has been completed.
Coming full circle, you can now better understand the action and purpose of the Trojan horse being pushed into locations like Barron County, Sheboygan County, and Wood County. 1. Control the elected leadership positions in Wisconsin all the way to Washington. 2. Control the party leadership in Wisconsin all the way to the RNC. 3. Control the delegates at the county level by controlling who can be a member. If completing these 3 items are successful, they will have stopped every county, district, or state charter from ever bringing any topic into question or even being allowed to have any input of any change of leadership. What you have been witnessing in Barron County is being implemented by trusted state and or county elected officials' direct involvement by doing anything and everything possible to disrupt who controls delegates, regardless of the participants knowing the truth of the matter. You can bear witness to what is happening in Wisconsin as multiple attempts to overthrow specific elected county Republican Party leadership positions is ongoing. The Republican Party of Barron County is a private organization. Our organization, like many others, is governed by a constitutional set of rules, written and approved by the members of the organization. These rules clearly state that to be a member, you must believe in the objectives, purposes, and principles of the Republican Party of Barron County. This guiding document is created, adopted, challenged, and amended by the members of this organization. We absolutely are supporters of the First Amendment rights. However, we find it behaviorally unacceptable that any member of this private organization air their differences publicly regarding their personal feelings. If at any time any member feels they can no longer comply or are not willing to comply with the process and procedures of our organization, they have the right to reconsider being a member of this private organization. The current constitution and bylaws of the Republican Party of Barron County were adopted and signed into effect December 30th, 2021 by the acting chairman, Romaine Quinn. It is apparent our current state senator does not accept or respect the rules of the organization or its elected leadership. He is in possession without authorization of BCRP intellectual property in the form of your personal membership data containing all of your contact information. He has presided over a failed recall of the current chairman, resorts to air private organization matters over public newspaper media and social media sources. As lately as this November, your state senator compiled 17 written complaints by BCRP members to the RPW leadership, asking them to take action to destroy the Barron County Republican Charter. We will be making the 17 written complaints accessible for anyone to read. Members have been promised by the people who led their failed recall of the current chairman after the July general membership meeting that the emotional rhetoric disturbance will continue at every meeting that is called into the future. The BCRP Executive Committee decided to set a dedicated cool-off time for 60 days. Ironically, Senator Quinn states in the News Shield newspaper article dated September 20th, "We're trying to turn the page and be united again, though I'm not sure how that's going to happen." This article was prefaced by another unauthorized email to you, the BCRP general membership, on September 16th, being one of the most destructive acts of inaccurate information we have yet to witness. 3 questions that should be asked by any member is: 1. Who provided the unauthorized personal and contact membership data that was released? 2. Who provided the false financial data speculation? And 3. Is airing information from inside a private organization into public newspapers, editorial outlets, social media, and live podcasts responsible behavior? The answer to all 3 of these questions will be handled in follow-up emails. We have spent hundreds of volunteer hours in executive committee meetings since the recall process began here in Barron County that should have been used for promoting events, fundraising, and preparing for the 2024 elections. We are very hopeful to have you continue participating to move this agenda in a positive direction. Sincerely, the Republican Party of Barron County Executive Committee.
Wow. All right. Let's bring on Jim and hear what Jim has to say himself. And here's Jim Swenson, and he is the head of the Barron County Republican Party, and that's Barron County, Wisconsin. And I'm going to turn it right over to Jim. We want to spend as much time as we have hearing your story and what in the world is going on in Wisconsin.
Chaos is normal. You know, you read about us on national news with what happens here. Currently, the state leadership, what we call the Republican Party of Wisconsin, has co-opted with one of my local state senators who's a member of my county party to try and the best way to call it would be a coup of the county leadership, which they failed in. They were directed by the state party parliamentarian on how to pull that off and failed miserably. So now they came back again as a whole group to virtually destroy our county charter, which wipes out everything: our constitution, the executive committee, etc. They came to Barron County on the 15th of November. Sort of what I imagine of history of the Spanish Inquisition. The only thing we were missing were the gallows. And,
Wow.
They required us to answer complaints. We had roughly 17 members make complaints, of which 6 of those people were married to each other.
Oh, jeez.
And there really wasn't any basis to destroy a party from the complaints they made. They were just internal stuff that should have been handled internally. And I guess the neat side of that whole thing is I had a former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice, Michael Gableman, call me a few days prior and said, "Wow, is there anything I can do to help?" So former Justice Gableman sat on our side, helped try and negotiate a solution to this. Of no avail. They came back with recommendations of this Constitution Committee that they were going to recommend virtually stomping out our charter. And I guess by rules, and when I say rules, I'm going to talk about Robert's Rules of Order, because this has never been done. They don't have these rules at their fingertips. They create them as they go, which is really a unique thing that we've found out about private societies. Okay,
Right.
So they're adding to Robert's Rules of Order
No,
or modifying it?
They have to fall back to Robert's Rules of Order because in normal bylaws, whether you're talking the state constitution or the county constitution, if there's an issue that's not outline specific, it says we revert second to Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
So they informed us approximately 5 days ago, I'm going to guess, that they will be recommending to destroy our charter to the Republican Party of Wisconsin Executive Committee, which needs a 2/3 vote to do so. However, all these constitutional committee members, at least the major majority of them, all sit on the Republican Party Executive Committee. So it's sort of like schizophrenia talking to yourself.
So Jim, what's their end goal? What's the end game for them? Why, in this tumultuous political atmosphere that we live in our country, why would they be alienating people out of their own party?
I've written a paper, and I probably should have sent it to you months ago. I called it the Trojan Horse, and it explains how some of these institutions. Wisconsin runs in a series of delegates. Each county has so many delegates based on their voting percentages to the last gubernatorial or presidential election. So Barron County, we've turned into probably a 62 to 67% red voting county. So by those standards, we get in their formulation about 64 delegates. Okay, our delegates go to a district caucus, which we are part of the 7th district congressional United States congressional district, and then our after that caucus is over, we participate in the state convention, where everything is done by delegate vote. So if I'm there all by myself, I represent 64 votes. Okay?
Right.
If I'm there with 32 people, we each represent 2 votes. So this is, in my heart, this is for them grasping power of the delegate control. Therefore, they can possibly, maybe try and pull what's going on in Colorado by controlling who's on your presidential ballot for 2024, and blame it on the delegates. Colorado, was about the state Supreme Court there that just determined President Trump couldn't do that, which isn't going to hold. But,
Right.
Jim, I live in Colorado, so I could talk about Colorado politics all day long. I can tell you that both my husband and I were just sick last night.
Don't worry, it won't hold.
Right.
Even though it won't, it's still disheartening isn't even the word for what it is to live in a state that is devoted, the people in power are devoted into taking away everyone else's voice and everyone else's power. And right. I hear that that's what you're describing, Jim.
Well, a lot of the public isn't really aware that there's this split, or what I call a chasm, in the Republican Party, and it's virtually what it's turned into is the globalists versus the populists. Okay, I value my country, therefore you could define me as a populist. More popular words, I think, are patriot. Populist are more understood. But yeah, I took an oath to defend my country, to the Constitution, about oh my God, it's a long time ago, but that was a lifetime oath to me.
Yeah,
and that's where I will stand, regardless of being the chairman of the Republican Party or not.
Jim, are they going to go after other counties, or what's your sense of their strategy?
Well, Absolutely. Um, there's no doubt in my mind that they will go after other conservative county leaders like myself for control of the delegates. Just to wipe me out doesn't do them any good.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, now this was brought to the table by my local state senator, who's a member of my county party. Well, he's a 33-year-old young man that's done really a neat thing. He was like the youngest mayor in the history of Wisconsin. But he's still at that age where he's making he's an emotional decision maker, okay, which is
Right.
not a good thing. So he took the battle to them. Normally these situations are handled internally, but he, along with my 75th Assemblyman and my United States 7th Congressional District leadership, all went to Madison and said, trouble in River City. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So they all got on board to come after us. Now this is twice. And,
Wow.
it's embarrassing and it's shameful.
Right. What's the basis of their issues or complaints?
I don't mean embarrassing to me. I mean embarrassing for them.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the issues of what?
Right. What are the issues that they're bringing forward?
Well, the truth or what they're arguing right now.
How about both?
Well, the truth is that the Republican Party of Wisconsin invested well over $250,000 of their own money to fund State Senator Quinn in his last race for this 25th Senate district.
Can they do that in Wisconsin? Can the party?
Sure. Like you're allowed to even donate to my county party. You can donate unlimited. I can donate to a candidate unlimited, but you as an individual are limited what you can donate to a candidate. Okay.
But does the party have to distribute donations equally to all candidates, or they can just pick out who they endorse and who they really want to put a lot of money behind?
Well, just so you know, that was the cheapest race in Wisconsin. Okay. That was
Wow.
the least amount of money spent.
Wow.
I mean, unless there was some candidate that ran absolutely unopposed.
Mm-hmm.
But back to
Yeah.
what brought this about. Right now, the Republican Party of Wisconsin. Our last conversation in a conference call with myself, Justice Gableman, the former chairman of the Republican Party, Paul Farrow, and Dave Anderson, who's the chairman of this headhunting crew, on the phone, trying to come to a solution. And the former chairman of the party said to me, "Well, Jim, the biggest crime you've committed is in your Constitution that you've allowed people outside of Barron County to be members and to participate and maybe even vote." And I said, "Well, yes, we have done that." I said, "But my Constitution says that's okay." He says, "Well, it's not in accordance with the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin." I said, "Well, I'm fully aware of that at this point. However, that Constitution was submitted to you people for review December 2021, at which point Mr. Anderson piped up and said, 'Well, I wasn't the chairman of this committee then, so we're not responsible.' And I said, 'Well, by your Constitution, that committee exists whether you are the chairman or not. And it clearly states it's your responsibility to notify us, okay? Because we are just volunteers, okay? It's your responsibility to clear up these faults if they do exist.' And he says, 'Well, that's not my responsibility. I wasn't the chairman then of this committee.' I said, 'Well, if you want to play that game, I wasn't the chairman of this county party when that Constitution was submitted.' And ironically, Senator Quinn, who wasn't the senator then, was the chairman when that Constitution was created and submitted. Now that's their argument. What it comes down to is they've dumped a whole lot of money into this young man to be a pole climber in the in the Republican Party. They have other elected officials, like I said, all the way to the 7th District congressional leadership involved in this coup. No doubt, Robin Voss, the Speaker of the Assembly, he's a very powerful man. I think he's more powerful than the governor in Wisconsin. They take their orders from the upper echelon.
Mm-hmm.
They call this grassroots Republican Party, and it's the furthest thing from it.
So this young man, did I get this right? He was a mayor in a town in Barron County?
Yeah, he was the mayor at, excuse me if I don't know the number correct, 17, 18 years old, 19 maybe, and of a city named Rice Lake, which is the biggest town or city
Mm-hmm.
in Barron County.
Right.
In that 8,000 population range. Sorry,
Yep.
my dog is trying to get on camera here.
We're used to that on our show.
Right. We have lots of fun with cameras.
Pets are welcome.
Yes.
So what does this mean, Jim, for, your constituents or the people of Barron County? What is the impact on the citizens and their voice and their votes?
I guess that's a pretty good question. There's a whole lot of different answers. We built our party into about 325 strong at one point. This emotional rhetoric that's been going on since our county caucus back in March has absolutely destroyed it. People are just tired of devoting the amount of time to come in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know how life is. You devote an hour to get there, a couple hours to sit, and an hour to get home. And with the amount of emotional rhetoric led by Senator Quinn and his cronies, we couldn't even get our minutes approved to the prior meetings.
Wow.
So people have had it. I would be a fool to say the only Republicans in Barron County belong to the Republican Party. It's very clear throughout the whole United States. There's more good conservative Republicans than party members. Okay,
Yeah.
so they're starting to wake up. You see that everywhere, even in Colorado.
Even in Pennsylvania. That's where I am.
Two today.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Well, I'm from Wisconsin. I call it home, even though I've been in Colorado for decades. But, I attended a couple of Patriot events when I was there, and I was really impressed by the participation, the number of people there. And so when you say people are starting to wake up, I saw that with my own eyes. It was amazing. And they've invited me to come and speak January 9th in Luck, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yes.
Yes, so I'm going to be...
Really great group of people up there.
They are.
I'm excited to attend their meetings and talk at their meetings and participate at their meetings. It's incredible. Beats up. Luck is just a little teeny blink of an eye for people. There's one of them.
See? Animals.
Yes.
Yeah, Luck is a neat little blink of an eye place, and they meet in this little teeny church.
Yes.
If you're familiar or never have been there, you'll be really quite impressed.
Yeah, I am excited. I grew up in Osceola.
Oh.
And my mom was from Milltown, so I'm kind of a local gal around there. I know my way around the county roads. So anyway, I'm thrilled to be there and to be speaking because, the folks there are really, really impressive. And I have to say that I live in rural Colorado, and it's a little bit harder to get people activated here. And so hats off to all of you in rural northern Wisconsin. So what's your vision now or thoughts about how to regroup, or how do you move forward after this has just happened?
This event does not affect Jim Swenson. Okay, this is not going to stop me in any way, shape, or form of doing what's right, speaking what's right. In fact, I think they're. You like that tail? If they would have been really smart about this, they would have just sort of left me right where I stood as the chairman, because behind that podium, I am somewhat limited on what I can say.
Yep.
Well,
Yes.
If I'm not the chairman, get ready, because you're going to get both barrels. You're going to get both barrels of truth. And I did a podcast the other night with a I shouldn't maybe mention their name, but they're a Wisconsin podcaster, and it got so bad that they even interfered with the transmissions of that show.
Wow.
So, there's powerful people involved out here, a lot more so than most people even realize.
Right.
But yeah, right. I'm not going to stop. People say, well, oh my God, what do we do? I said, you stand fast. You stand fast for what you, and if you feel yourself weakening, reach out, grab the hands of your neighbor standing next to you, and take a step forward. Okay?
Yep.
That's
right.
where we're going.
So what can people do? What do you need people do to help you? Do you need them to reach out to anybody? Do you need them to just keep getting your name out there?
I think the Republican Party of Wisconsin leadership needs to be bombarded. Chairman Shimming, Executive Director Jefferson, they're the head of this. Okay, they control what goes on. I have handfuls of emails for when these type of disputes, inter-county disputes, happened in the past with other counties, and of course I have their emails that say, well, yeah, we don't get involved in that. Which should be exactly the real, honest truth. They've decided to get involved in this once again, probably based on the money they've invested in this young pole climber named Senator Quinn, or maybe they just fear what I bring to the table. We took Barron County from a place that was dying on the vine because this same type of bully tactic happened about 10 years ago, and they pushed and pushed on the leadership of Barron County, and these guys caved and walked out of the room. They tried that with me. It didn't work. I'm not the right guy to play bully in the room with. I'm just not. That's what they tried. They failed. So, it took till approximately 2016 to start building this party back up through a 3-phase plan that I wrote when I wasn't even the chairman. So we built it up into something. I virtually proved that a county could stand on its own as far as activities, as far as raising money, as far as promoting local candidates. I'm a total believer, if I can't clean up my backyard, why should I bug you about yours? So we've shown that leadership that we can do this by ourselves, and they don't like that at all either.
Yeah.
So there could be a handful of reasons. Right now they're broadcasting an absolute untruth about why they want to remove us. It's an absolute untruth. I'll show you their Wisconsin Constitution that shows it's their responsibility, to make these corrections. And isn't 2 years enough?
All right.
So what do you want people in, rural Wisconsin or in Barron County to know?
Well, once again, that they're being led down the primrose path by the leadership of the RPW about what's going on up here. I was pretty active throughout the state, helping other chairmen. People throughout the state knew my name because of my interactions, and people would reach out to me. what's sort of humbling right now for me is that, as far as name recognition, mine's probably pretty large throughout the whole state of Wisconsin right now. And it is. I mean, I'm getting emails. I get phone calls every day going, "We don't know you, but we support you." Okay,
That's good.
what's your next move?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
so to be quite honest with you, what my next move is in God's hands. Once we found out that this was the Spanish Inquisition happening, we sat and said a prayer and asked God for guidance that if the Barron County chapter is going to be dissolved, please allow it to show the corruption in the Republican Party of Wisconsin and show the corruption of the state elected officials. And this stuff is falling out of the sky faster than you can even imagine what we're seeing. So it'll be God's will what happens.
Jim, for those people who are listening and maybe living in Barron County, or even people like me in Colorado who's just feeling heartbroken over how corrupt our system is right now, what words of inspiration or hope or even guidance or organization do you have for those of us that are at times just feeling overwhelmed by what's going on, and our inclination is just to throw up our hands and say, cripes, it's a lost cause?
Which is exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like even the word hope. Okay. I don't like that. This life we have, even in what we believe in the thereafter, if you're waiting on hope to get you there, hope doesn't do it. It's action. It's your own personal action. So people need to be involved at the community level. And my God, this country has dropped the ball for 50 years. They quit teaching civics when I was a young kid. Okay, why is it that people like our grandparents, and I shouldn't say our because I would hate to assume that you're my age. Why is it that our grandparents could recite the Gettysburg Address, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, not only recite it by memory, but tell you what it meant? Okay.
Yeah.
Today people look at even a document like our Constitution and see that word or that phrase, "we the people," okay, that is in capital letters, and they think that's them, and it is not. If it was talking about us, it would be non-capital letters. Those capital letters actually mean those people that came together back then, and they were the people that document was referring to. And most people that are even good, knowledgeable people don't understand that difference. So the further we dig, the more uglier it gets, unfortunately. But it's up to each and every one of us to do our job as a citizen of the United States and say, hell no.
Yep.
I mean, come on. We look at people arguing in Washington on a conservative level every day. Senator Johnson from Wisconsin is one of the biggest noisemakers about the COVID game. Jim Jordan, he fights and fights and fights and fights when they show his cuts on TV. The disheartening side, even though I know some of these people personally and enjoy spending time with them, what are they getting done?
Right.
We're $36 trillion in debt. So yeah, it's up to you to make sure that these people get poked about. It's up to you to make sure your little city councils and your county boards and and that your state legislators are held accountable. Most people aren't willing to put in that amount of time. They just don't want to be involved. What they don't understand is they're going to be involved here real quick. And it's going to be, where's the food coming from? Where's the water coming from?
Yep.
My God, we have a whole bunch of people that we can't even understand are here in our communities.
Yep.
So, yeah, I guess that's the best answer I can, It's no different than being involved in your church. You're either involved in it or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're involved in your local school system or you're not.
Yeah.
So I've tried to fire up a whole lot of people to do that. You could never get them all,
Right.
I'm assuming that even during the Revolutionary War here, from my readings and understanding of history, if you could hit that 3-4% of the public, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in my own, personal theory is that by nature, conservatives conserve. They're conservatives, and they aren't progressives. They're not the people that are out front, out there. And so, we have conversations about a lot of our conservative neighbors that are the kind of people who are content to just live their lives, happily and quietly and prayerfully. And, they aren't the people by nature. So I'm thinking that, being conservative and not being an activist goes hand in hand. There's a part of how we see the world and what we're compelled to do. And so that's what I see as kind of the challenge for me wanting to activate my neighbors around here. Like, come on, people. And they're like, no, do you want to come in for supper? And it's, they're kind, lovely, wonderful people, but they're not the kind of people who are going to go march with signs and banners. And I know that's a huge generalization, but that is my own theory, and that's my own observation.
Well, I've been on this earth for 60 years now, okay? And one of the most memorable statements that I hear people say, and I mean that came generations before me, especially after the greatest generation helped save freedom in the world, is it won't happen here. It just won't happen here.
Right.
Well, it's been happening here now for about, 3, 4, 5 decades. And it's like the blind leading the blind. Unfortunately, those people that don't want to be involved have to be, and it's unfortunate that we use words like activist. It's really a shame to have to consider myself an activist. Right now, people are being arrested for being an activist. Okay? Especially if you're a conservative Christian. So I have conversations every day with very conservative Republicans that we get into the conversations where they say, well, my goodness, I can't even define the word Republican. I said, really? Well, that's just shocking to me. How can you be something that you can't define? Well, it's different down here in the big city of Milwaukee than it is in rural America. I said, no, it's not. Well, can you define it? I says, well, I can for me. And, I am what they used to refer to as a Goldwater Republican. If anybody wants to read that, that's Republicanism, okay? Small government, small taxes, leave us the hell alone.
Mm-hmm.
And the list goes on. I mean, we're pro-lifers. But what people need to understand is you're not going to be left alone anymore. I don't care what you are.
Yeah.
You could say I vote Libertarian, I vote Green Party. You're not going to be left alone anymore. And the taxation that we're being pounded with is only going to go up tenfold really fast.
Well, we are about at the end of our segment. Do you have anything else, last minute things you want to share, Jim?
Oh, wow.
That's okay. Roll them out.
I don't even know what to touch at this point. I think we've hit a sort of a good avenue of what the issues are in Wisconsin, what the issues are across the country. People need to open up their eyes, open up their ears, okay, and you need to take some type of action.
Yeah.
Personally, when it comes down to a specific candidate, I would offer the advice of fund your candidate. Stop spending money with these parties. Okay?
Yes.
And when you delve into
Yeah.
even like with the Republican Party of Wisconsin, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Okay.
Yeah.
So you ask the next question is, where is this money coming from? Because as a county, we don't pay dues. Individuals pay dues to be a member of this county, but we don't pay dues to the district. The district doesn't pay dues to the state. Where's this money coming from? So what we're uncovering is, this word that's been used lately with Ukraine, oligarchs. Doesn't seem to matter what country they're from. They're the ones that are funding all these movements. So be smart. We can win elections with shoe leather the old-fashioned way. There's no need to turn these into bazillion-dollar races. But they do, because there's so many people that are scooping 15%.
Right.
So, if, stay in touch with me as soon as we hear what date, what time, what location the second Spanish Inquisition is going to happen at. I'll
Good.
definitely let you know. Maybe you'll be up here in that area about that time.
Right.
Well, I hope so. I'll be there if I am.
Absolutely.
Jim.
Well,
Wow. Well, what say you, Elizabeth?
I think I'm still processing it all. It's just there's so much corruption. People really need to just actually look at what's going on and start getting involved, because it's not going to go away. It's just going to get worse if we don't do something about it.
Right. Well, and I just was talking to someone locally the other day, and she was talking about the schools. And I said, well, I was at the school board meeting the other night, and there were no parents there, nobody. And she said, well, I know, but I do this for the community. I'll volunteer here. I do this for my church. I do this. And so I think people, legitimately in their minds, look at this big pie, and they know that they're doing stuff for their community, and they feel good about that. And it is a good thing. But I don't think that they realize that while they have their pie split up in all these things, there's all this other stuff going on under the surface. And we need everyone to split up their pie differently. People need to carve out time for this and get involved and be informed, know what's going on. Here in Colorado, there was a property tax, a whole shenanigan. It's unique to Colorado, but the governor decided they wanted to take everybody's property tax refund away and use it for social programs. And it was written in this long, really convoluted language that they had a bunch of other stuff shoved into, which is apparently now the trick of the day. And, people need to be very conscious, or because we're losing our country, we're losing our rights. And it is local. Like Jim was saying, this is Barron County. This is a little county in Wisconsin. But if every little county loses their voice and their vote, we're sunk.
Yep, it's happening everywhere. I live in a small area, and things are happening here because people just sit and they say, it's never going to happen here. We don't have to worry about it. We'll be fine.
I know.
No, it's coming.
I know. And I've got to stop pondering what happened to people's moral compass. Because I get stuck on that. How in the world can these people be, liars and cheats and try and steal elections and just to get their way? And I spend too much time thinking about that because I come up with my own conclusions and I can't, it's off the rails. But what in the world happened to people? Even if it used to be, even if you didn't like who got elected, you were still respectful of the process and respectful of people's choices. And I was not a fan of Barack Obama being my president. I was not a fan. And this was even back in the day when I was a moderate. I wasn't even a conservative back then. I didn't care for him. I didn't care for his policies. I didn't vote for him for those reasons. But I still respected that he was my president. And I respected the people that voted for him because they had their reasons why they voted for him. And I just couldn't ever imagine wanting to take that right away from other people. We're living in some wild times.
It is. It's a backwards world.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Well,
but it's almost Christmas.
It is almost Christmas.
Almost Christmas. So close. It's just a few days away.
I am very excited. My daughter and her husband and my granddaughter are coming for Christmas. And we'll see how this goes over. I got June, my granddaughter, this sensory sand that sticks together so you can play with it indoors, and a box of trucks to go in the sand. And she really loves dolls. She's a little girl that loves dolls, but I'm breaking it a little bit and I'm giving her some sand and then some construction trucks with like bulldozers and things. We'll see if she likes it. I don't know.
Right. I bet she will. My kids loved like the kinetic sand. That was one of their favorite. They still love it.
That's what it is. That's what it's called.
Yep. They absolutely love it. It's really cool stuff. It really is.
I haven't opened the boxes to look inside yet. So we'll see if I like it. Maybe I'll order some for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
So are your kids ready for Christmas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've been ready. They love it. They can't believe. And I have to keep reminding myself, looking at the clock and my husband, I'm like, okay, it's Monday. Christmas is Monday. And they're like, no, it's next week. I'm like, no. Look at the calendar. It's just, I know we probably say it all the time. It came so fast, but I swear it came faster this year. It just feels so quick.
And is it because it falls on a Monday that it's messing with our heads? Because we're used to weekdays and then a weekend. And then, because I had to get out our dry erase calendar for my husband and I. I mean, both of us kept getting mixed up and I had to write it out. This is what's happening this day. And then this is Christmas. And so I'm with you. Confusing.
It is. Yeah, it's probably because
confusing. So the exciting news is I am finishing up my mobile app for conservative college students. I have my first version is out there and live on Apple, and I am working on my second release, and it's going to be so much better. It's so cool. I've got videos. I've got like written text lessons. They can take, there's journal prompts. There's, and each lesson, okay, start over, rewind. There's 36 lessons, 36. And they are on resilience, independence, spirituality, and emotional intelligence. So there are sections on each, and it helps guide students to be grounded in their values and in their own personal beliefs. So when they get to college and they're bombarded by all of this indoctrination, they'll have something in their hand that they can say, I don't know what's going on right now. Let me see what Chris has to say about this. And so they can like go into the app. And then each lesson also has a prayer and meditation in it also. So there's a deep relaxation that when they're feeling stressed and really anxious, that they can listen to that. And then there's a prayer at the end. So it's really grounding, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm so excited. I'm working like crazy on that in between wrapping up that kinetic sand.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what's happening in my world.
Sounds exciting. We go out of town to my parents' house. It's about an hour away, so I'm not looking forward to the drive, but it's still nice. The kids get to play with their cousins that they don't get to see often, so
That is fun.
Yeah.
But how long are you staying? For a bit?
We just go for we go for a few hours. And then we come home. Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds very fun. Well, then we will be back again after Christmas, and we'll pick up where we left off with another exciting guest, and we'll be back on track.
Yes.
And Christmas will be over.
We'll get to the good stuff going on in the States and all the things that we haven't had the time to go over. We'll get into all that good stuff.
I know. Yep. And I will have a big announcement when we come back the first of the year.
Awesome.
But you have to wait till after January 1st. And then big announcement. And see, I already told you about the app. So you know it's not that.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah.
No, you can cross that off the list because, it's not the app. What else could there be? But it's so exciting. You're really going to want to hear about it. So, all right.
Stay tuned.
Okay. All right. Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.